You know, it's kind of terrifying standing up here in front of all of you this morning. Not because there's an auditorium full of you, or because there are all these brilliant faculty and students that I respect and admire so much. It's because I feel like I'm up here naked without a PowerPoint presentation. So you have to understand something. We graduate students, we don't say anything in public spaces without a clicker in our hands and a series of animated bullet points up on the screen guiding what we're going to say next. So I apologize in advance because I'm going to have to wing this thing. Let me see. So I guess I'm going to go journal article format here. So I'd like to start out with an overview of what we already know about this strange, sleep-deprived creature known as a nutrition graduate student. Its windowless habitat, its irrational behaviors, isolating itself for months at a time, running statistical analyses, and writing cautious, heavily attributed thesis paragraphs, not to mention its hypocritical late-night diet. Then I'll talk about the methods that we all use to get here today in our caps and gowns. Copious quantities of caffeine, stacks of self-help books on how to not feel totally insecure when everyone around you seems so brilliant and has their act together and you have no clue what's going on. And then on to the results of this half-decade experiment. For example, how many times have we had to print out those ridiculously large posters and carry them onto planes in those awkward poster tubes just to explain our research to people at conferences? Or how many times have our parents and loved ones asked us, so when are you going to be finished with that dissertation thing? Or why don't you just get a real job like everybody else does? And then I guess we'll close with a discussion and try to interpret what it was we were all possibly thinking when we decided to chase down this graduate degree. And if there are any questions afterwards, well, I'm probably just going to speak beyond the end of my allotted time, so there's no time for questions, so I won't be embarrassed because I don't know the answers to your questions. It's an age-old grad student tactic. But let me speak for a moment about the graduating students here today. One of the things I really appreciate about the Division of Nutritional Sciences here at Cornell is its incredible breadth of expertise. The spectrum of research and teaching in the division is truly diverse. And the efforts of the graduate students to pursue research questions with passion and confront with vigor the very real challenges that we face today as a nation and global community only strengthen that diversity. The graduate students here today are really a remarkable bunch. Ann Agler, for example, studied in part the role of vitamin E in preventing chronic lung disease. Rosa Angelova interviewed youth in her native Bulgaria to understand disordered eating and the changing media environment there. Her advisor says that elegance characterizes everything that Rosa does, from her data collection to her writing to simply her presence. Rebecca Heitkamp integrated herself into a health clinic in Haiti, in Haiti's capital, Port-au-Prince, working to support the healthy growth of HIV-exposed infants there. Her advisor commented on her humility, her deep respect for the people of Haiti, and her courage in living through the 2010 earthquake there. Sunny Kim spent 2 years traveling all over Peru to understand how the beneficial impacts of nutrition programs there might be sustained. Her advisor remarked that she has taken in stride the enormous amount of work involved in her groundbreaking thesis, and that their whole research group has benefited from her wisdom and remarkable patient attitude toward the world. Angela Liu explored how nutritionists help to transform community environments to increase healthy eating and physical activity. Amanda Lynch worked with post-op bariatric surgery patients. Olga Tkachenko compared the reality of nutrition education practices to official recommendations. Sue Wernemont's work, which demanded expertise in genetics, nutrition, epidemiology, investigated folate-related genes and cardiovascular risk. Amelia Willett-Smith researched barriers low-income parents face to adopting recommended nutrition practices. Her advisor calls her an extremely tenacious researcher. Brian Reardon built on his deep expertise in molecular biology to study the role of vitamin D in lung health. And Holly Reardon's research broke new ground in establishing molecular regulation mechanisms of fatty acids. Her advisor remarked that her depth of understanding and insight have made her seem more like a junior colleague than a graduate student. Not to mention the fact that Brian and Holly recently brought into the world Helen Reardon, who's 6 weeks old today. As for me, well, the division didn't really even want to admit me, but they were kind of compelled to. I don't know if you noticed anything about the demographic makeup of our graduate students, but let's just say that I fulfill a diversity requirement for the division. Yeah, as it turns out, you need to have a few male graduate students hanging around just to keep appearances up. So I've been happy to oblige them in that regard. But the remarkable diversity of research projects you just heard is possible because of the very backgrounds the students carry with them. And it's this diversity that's needed to confront the nutrition challenges we're facing today. We see food deserts in our rural communities as well as in our urban centers, a global obesity epidemic, nutrition-related chronic disease, a rising price of oil, food, and a rising global temperature gauge, all of which threaten the viability of our food systems. But, disease and poverty and poor nutrition, these aren't new problems. What's new is the complexity. Complexity that's always existed, but that we're only now becoming more aware of, like how our genes interact with our environments and our diets to produce health outcomes. And complexity that we've created by integrating our economies and globalizing our world. So the complexity is new and will require individuals with integrated knowledge and technical skills and the capacity to think and work across disciplines to find new solutions and to make relevant old ones. We have the superb faculty here at Cornell to thank for providing us with these capacities. But we also have all of you to thank, our friends and loved ones, for supporting us over the past 4, 5, even 6 years sometimes. Speaking for myself, I know that no step forward in my graduate career would be possible without the incredible selfless sacrifices that my parents had made for me. And I think we owe it to everyone who has allowed us to be here today, to continue to pursue our work passionately, and most importantly, humbly, recognizing that though by the end of today we may have a few more letters after our names, we still have so much to learn. Congratulations to all the students.